You finished your work early. Congratulations! You are now responsible for someone else's work. That's it. That's the whole system. You did good, so here's more. You were fast, so here's the pile from the person who wasn't. You cleared your queue by 2 p.m., and somewhere, in a meeting you weren't invited to, a manager saw that, nodded slowly, and thought, efficient. The 2:05 email. Hey, could you just take a look at this? You know the one. There's a term for what's happening to you. It's called quiet hiring, which is a remarkable piece of branding, honestly. Quiet, like it's shy, like it crept in apologetically. Quiet hiring is when a company needs 3 roles filled, and instead of, say, hiring 3 people, they identify the one person who won't say no, and they just hand it to them. No title change, no pay raise, sometimes not even a conversation, just new responsibilities, effective immediately, listed nowhere. And here's where the number arrives. U.S. worker productivity went up 130% since 1979. Real wages, adjusted for inflation, went up about 15%. So workers are producing 130% more, getting paid roughly 15% more for it. That gap has a name. Economists call it the productivity pay gap. I call it a business model. And look, 1979 is a long time ago. You might be thinking, okay, that's a historical trend. Things were different, blah, blah. Sure. Let's look at something more recent. The BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, tracked productivity versus compensation through 2025. The gap didn't close. It widened, slightly, quietly, the way all the bad things seem to happen. Same direction, bigger number, naturally. Now here's the part that should make you feel something. Because it's not just that the reward didn't scale with the output, it's that the people at the top of these organizations know it doesn't. They've measured it. They have dashboards. And the official term, and I love this, is workforce optimization, which is a phrase that means exactly what you think it means, just from the other direction. You're being optimized. You're the optimization. Sit with that. Okay, here's the mechanism, because it actually has layers. Layer 1. You're good at your job, so you finish things faster than average. That's visible. Managers see throughput, not effort. So from their vantage point, you have capacity. You have margin. And margin, in a corporate context, is just uncollected value. Layer 2, because you're good at your job, you also care about doing it well, which means when the extra work lands, and it lands, you don't half-ass it. You do it properly, which confirms that you can handle it, which means next month there's a bit more. Layer 3, this is the good one. Because you keep absorbing it, the actual problem, which is that the team is understaffed, never surfaces. The signal is suppressed. You are functionally a buffer between management and the consequences of their own headcount decisions. You're not just doing extra work, you're actively making it harder for anyone to notice that the extra work exists. Right. There's a whole theory in organizational behavior about this. I'll spare you the academic framing, but the short version is systems don't fix problems that someone else is quietly absorbing. Doesn't matter if it's a person, a team, a department. If the pain never reaches the decision maker, the decision never gets made. You're the pain absorber, and you're very, very good at it, which is why nothing changes. Actually, wait, something did change.
Because here's what RTO was never really about. It wasn't about collaboration. It wasn't about culture. The studies on in-person collaboration are pretty clear. Most deep work is solo, most meetings are too long, and most water cooler moments produce approximately no value. What RTO was about, and this is where it connects, is the efficiency leak. When people worked from home, they figured something out. You can finish 8 hours of work in 5 hours if you cut out the commute, the performative desk sitting, the 3-minute conversations that last 40 minutes. People were finishing faster, getting more done, and then stopping. Going for a walk, starting dinner early, reading. The audacity! The problem from a management perspective wasn't that the work wasn't getting done. It was that the excess capacity, the margin, wasn't being collected. There was efficiency happening that wasn't being monetized. So, return to office, where the hours are visible, where leaving at 4 p.m. is a statement, where you can't be fast and then quiet about it. Same mechanism as quiet hiring, different packaging. Spoiler, productivity didn't go up. Attrition went up, but attrition is a next quarter problem. This quarter's numbers looked fine. And we're doing it again, by the way. Performance Review Season 2026. Record number of exceeds expectations ratings across major employers. Record low merit increases. The math, you exceeded expectations, and the reward for that is that your expectations have been updated. Next year's baseline is this year's overperformance. You didn't raise the bar, you became the bar. And then they froze the bar. There's a pattern here, actually there are several, but let me just do the quick version. 2010s, lean staffing, do more with less, efficiency improvements lead to headcount reductions, not compensation increases. Early 2020s, the Great Resignation, workers actually leave, companies panic, briefly. Then the labor market softens and we return to the previous model, which was the plan all along. 2022 to 2024, quiet hiring peaks, officially named, written about, Harvard Business Review does a piece. Nothing changes except now it has a name. 2025, productivity compensation gap widens again, quietly. Reports published, nobody implements them. 2026, performance reviews come in, exceeds expectations. Here is a 0% raise, here is however a small trophy, digitally rendered, for your team's profile. Same structure, same result. I'm not even tired anymore, honestly. I've graduated to a kind of zen about it. The last thing, and this is the part that I find genuinely funny in a please don't make me laugh about this way, the solution in most of the literature, in most of the consulting decks, in most of the HR strategy documents is to improve communication between high performers and their managers so that workload distribution can be better understood. Talk to your manager. That's it. That's the fix. You are absorbing 3 people's jobs for 1 person's pay, and the intervention is, have you tried explaining that? And look, some people do, some people push back, some people set limits, and the outcomes there are pretty consistent too. Mixed reviews, slightly lower team player scores, mysteriously average performance ratings the following year. The ones who don't push back keep getting work. The ones who do push back get managed. Nobody changes the staffing model. The 2 p.m. email is still coming. You'll answer it. You'll do it well. Someone will notice. Not the compensation team, just your manager who will think, good, she can handle more. The cycle resets. Exceeds expectations. Cool.